You don't belong in this room. Take your little papers and get out, now!
She mocked the black girl's hoodie and ordered security to drag the trash out. But the laughter died instantly when that girl revealed she didn't just buy the building, she was there to fire her. Welcome back to Black Lives Story, your home for powerful tales of justice and resilience. If you believe that true class comes from character, not clothes, please hit that like button, subscribe, and share this video to help us spread the message.
The air on the 50th floor of the V-Style Tower didn't smell like air. It smelled of anxiety and expensive white orchids. Veronica Vance, the self-anointed queen of fashion media, stood by the floor-to-ceiling glass window, looking down at the city like an angry god. She was 45, though her plastic surgeon swore she looked 30. Her suit was Armani, her heels were Louboutin, and her mood was lethal. "Get out," Veronica whispered. The young assistant, Sarah, trembled, clutching a tray of lukewarm lattes. "MMS Vance, I can reheat." "I don't care about the coffee, Sarah." Veronica turned, her eyes scanning the girl from head to toe. She stopped at the girl's skirt. "Is that polyester?" Sarah looked down, her face burning. It's from Zara. I just bought it." Veronica let out a sharp, incredulous laugh. She walked over and picked up a tablet from her desk, checking the stock price. V-Style Media, down 12%. The red numbers reflected in her eyes. She needed to vent. "You represent a billion-dollar brand, Sarah. When you walk in here looking like a discount bin, you devalue my stock." Veronica pointed a manicured finger at the glass doors. "Pack your things. You're done." "But I have rent," Sarah stammered, tears spilling. "Please." "Then buy a better skirt next time," Veronica snapped, turning back to the window. "Security! Escort her out. She's polluting the aesthetic." As the sobbing girl was dragged away, Veronica's mask slipped. Her hand shook as she gripped the edge of her mahogany desk. The company was bleeding money. Advertisers were fleeing. Her legacy was hanging by a thread. "Where is this investor?" she hissed to her reflection. "This King better have deep pockets and zero opinions." 30 floors below, the world was loud, gritty, and real. The number 4 subway train screeched around a curve, the metal wheels grinding against the track. The car smelled of wet raincoats and ozone. Maya sat near the door, squeezed between a man sleeping in a construction vest and a teenager blasting music. She looked like she belonged there. She wore a faded gray hoodie that was 2 sizes too big, black leggings that had seen better days, and sneakers scuffed with city grit. Her hair was pulled back in a simple, frizzy bun. She held a phone that had a spiderweb crack across the screen. Her thumbs moved across the glass at lightning speed, not texting, but coding. Lines of complex Python script scrolled past. The back-end architecture of ShopSphere, the app that had just disrupted the entire retail industry. Next stop, Financial District. The automated voice droned. An elderly woman stumbled as the train braked, clutching a heavy grocery bag. Maya didn't hesitate. She stood up instantly, sliding her phone into her pocket. "Here, ma'am," Maya said, her voice soft and melodic. "Take my seat." "Bless you, baby," the woman sighed, sinking into the plastic bench. She looked at Maya's worn sneakers. "You look tired, child. Working hard." Maya smiled. It was a genuine, warm smile that showed no trace of the stress she was under. Just running some errands. Big day. "Well, you keep your head up," the woman patted Maya's hand. "Times are tough, but the Lord provides." "He sure does," Maya whispered. Her pocket buzzed. Maya pulled out the crack phone. A notification from her secure banking app flashed on the screen, invisible to everyone else in the crowded car. "Transfer complete from King Tech Holdings TO, V-Style Media Acquisition Escrow Amount, $500 million status, pending signature." Maya swiped the notification away. She didn't look excited. She looked focused. She adjusted her backpack, which contained the buyout contracts, and grabbed a metal pole as the train slowed. She wasn't just going to the financial district. She was going to buy it, and she was about to walk into the lion's den wearing a hoodie, armed with nothing but the truth. The lobby of the V-style tower was a temple of intimidation. The floors were polished obsidian. The walls were waterfalls of sheer glass, and the receptionist looked like she had walked off a runway in Milan. Maya pushed through the revolving doors. Her worn sneakers squeaked, a sharp, rubbery sound that cut through the hushed atmosphere of the room. The receptionist, a young man named Trent with perfectly gelled hair, looked up. His eyes widened as they landed on Maya's oversized hoodie. He reached for his phone, likely to call security, but Maya moved too fast. She wasn't running. She was just efficient. She bypassed the desk, tapped a digital pass on the turnstile, which flashed green to Trent's shock, and vanished into the elevator bank before he could utter a word. Maya pressed the button for the 50th floor. Her heart was beating a steady, calm rhythm. She checked the reflection in the mirrored walls. She saw the frizzy bun, the dark skin, the lack of makeup. She knew what they would see. That was the point. She needed to know if the company she was buying was rotten at the core. 50 floors up, the boardroom was freezing. Veronica kept the thermostat at 65 degrees because sweat is for the poor. 10 board members sat around a table made of a single slab of Italian marble. They looked terrified. Veronica was pacing at the head of the table, clutching a bottle of sparkling water like a grenade. "Listen to me," Veronica hissed, slamming the water down. "When King arrives, nobody speaks. I do the talking. This investor is our lifeline. If he smells fear, he walks. If he sees weakness, he walks. Do we know anything about him?" Mr. Henderson, the CFO, asked nervously, wiping his forehead with a handkerchief. "This king is a ghost. No photos. No interviews. He is a billionaire, Henderson." Veronica snapped. "That's all we need to know. He's probably some Silicon Valley recluse who wants a trophy asset. We will dazzle him. We will show him that V-style is the pinnacle of elite culture." She smoothed her blazer, checking her reflection in the window. "I want perfection. If a single hair is out of place, I will fire the owner of that hair." Clack! The heavy glass double doors at the end of the room didn't slide open smoothly. They were pushed open with a casual, heavy hand. Veronica spun around to practice, charming smile plastering onto her face. "Mr. King, welcome to..." The smile died. It didn't just fade. It curdled. Standing in the doorway was not a middle-aged white man in a bespoke suit. It was Maya. Maya took a step inside. Her gray hoodie looked violently out of place against the stark white walls. Her backpack hung off one shoulder. She looked around the room, her eyes intelligent and assessing, finally landing on Veronica. The silence in the room was absolute. It was a kind of silence that usually precedes a car crash. Veronica's eyes traveled down to Maya's feet, the scuffed sneakers on the $50,000 custom wool carpet. "Are you lost?" Veronica's voice wasn't loud, but it dripped with acid. Maya adjusted her backpack straps. "No, I'm right on time." Veronica let out a short, sharp breath of disbelief. She looked at Henderson, then back at Maya. The confusion in her eyes hardened into pure, unadulterated disgust. "Delivery in trance," Veronica said, pointing a manicured finger toward the service elevator. "Is in the basement. If you have the sushi order, leave it with reception. You are not permitted on this floor." "I don't have sushi," Maya said calmly. She walked forward, approaching the empty chair at the head of the table. The chair reserved for M. King. "I have the contracts." Veronica moved fast. She stepped in front of Maya, blocking her path. The height difference was stark. Veronica towering in 4-inch stilettos, Maya grounded in flat rubber soles. "Get out!" Veronica sneered, leaning in close so only Maya could smell her expensive perfume. "Before you stain the upholstery, do you have any idea what this room is? This is a boardroom, not a homeless shelter. I'm here for the acquisition meeting," Maya said, holding Veronica's gaze without blinking. "I'm here to sign." Veronica threw her head back and laughed, a harsh, screeching sound that made the board members flinch. "Sign," Veronica mocked, looking back at her terrified executives. "She's here to sign. What, honey? A custodial log? A petition to save the rats in the subway?" She turned back to Maya, her face twisting into a mask of cruelty. "You are breathing my air," Veronica whispered, "and my air is very expensive. Leave now, or I will have you dragged out by your hair." Maya didn't move. She didn't flinch. She just tightened her grip on her backpack strap, her voice dropping an octave. "You might want to check the guest list, Veronica." "I don't read lists for the help." Veronica spat. Veronica didn't just block the path. She occupied it like a fortress. She crossed her arms, the expensive silk of her blazer rustling softly, a sound that usually made interns wet themselves. "I think you're confused," Veronica said, her voice dropping to a patronizing coo. "The soup kitchen is 3 blocks east. This is a place of business." Maya didn't back down. She stepped around Veronica, moving toward the leather chair at the head of the table. "I'm not hungry, Veronica. I'm here to discuss the liquidity crisis in your European division." The words hit the room like a slap. Mr. Henderson dropped his pen. Clatter. Veronica froze. For a split second, fear flickered in her eyes. How does this street rat know about the European debt? But her ego was a faster reflex than her brain. She decided it was a leak. A spy. She grabbed the back of the chair Maya was reaching for and yanked it away, spinning it around to face the wall. "Don't you dare!" Veronica snarled, the mask completely gone now. "Don't you dare sit your filthy denim on my Italian leather." "It's cotton," Maya corrected calmly. "And I prefer if you didn't touch the furniture." "You're trembling." "I am trembling with rage," Veronica shouted. She loomed over Maya, using every inch of her height advantage. "Who let you in? Was it Trent? I'll fire him. I'll fire everyone." She leaned in, her eyes scanning Maya's natural hair, which was pulled back in a puff. "Look at you," Veronica sneered, gesturing vaguely at Maya's entire existence. "You people always think you can just waltz in anywhere, don't you? You think because the world is woke now, standards don't apply?" The board members shifted uncomfortably. The racism was coded, but barely. It hung in the air like smoke. "Ms. Vance," Mr. Henderson piped up, his voice shaking. "Maybe we should just ask who she is?" She mentioned the European. "Shut up, Henderson." Veronica whipped around. "She's a fraud. She probably dug through our trash and found a memo. Look at her. Does she look like an investor? Does she look like she has $500, let alone 500 million? Veronica turned back to Maya, her lip curling. "This is a high-end brand. We sell fantasy. We sell aspiration. You," she flicked the strap of Maya's backpack. "You are the reality we pay money to avoid." Maya looked at the hand that touched her bag. Her expression didn't change, but her eyes went cold. "You judge value by the wrapper," Maya said quietly. "That's why your stock is down 40%. You missed a shift, Veronica. Authenticity is the new currency." "Don't lecture me on currency, you little charity case," Veronica snapped. "I built this empire while you were probably stealing Wi-Fi from a Starbucks." She pointed a jagged finger at the door. "Last warning. Get out, or I will have security drag you out, and I will make sure the video of it ruins whatever sad little job prospects you have." Maya took a deep breath. She reached into her hoodie pocket. Veronica flinched, as if expecting a weapon. Maya pulled out a folded piece of paper. It wasn't the contract. Not yet. It was the meeting agenda. "My name is on the list, Veronica," Maya said, holding it out. "M. King. Just look at the guest list." Veronica slapped the paper out of Maya's hand. It fluttered to the floor, landing face down on the plush carpet. "I told you." Veronica said, stepping on the paper with her red-soled heel and twisting it, grinding it into the fibers. I don't read lists for the help. Security. Veronica shrieked into the intercom on the wall. I have a code red on the 50th floor. Intruder in the boardroom. Send the tactical team. Now. A crackly voice responded. Copy, Ms. Vance. But we can't send the express elevator. It's currently in VIP lock mode for Mr. King's arrival. We have to route the freight car. ETA 5 minutes. Veronica slammed her fist against the wall. 5 minutes? I am trapped in here with a vagrant. She spun around. The board members were looking at the floor, the table, anywhere but at her. The silence was thick and suffocating. They were stuck. Veronica looked at Maya, who was still standing by the chair, calm as a statue. The calm infuriated Veronica. It felt like insolence. You think this is funny? Veronica paced around the table, her heels clicking like a ticking clock. You think because the elevator is slow, you get to stay? Maya checked her watch, a cheap digital Casio. The elevator is locked for the owner, she said softly. It's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Stop talking. Veronica snapped. She pulled out her phone, the latest model in a gold case. She tapped the screen, her face transforming instantly from rage to performance art. Beep. Live stream started. Hi, V-Style fam. Veronica chirped her phone, holding it up high to get the perfect angle. The change in her voice was psychotic, sweet, bubbly, and poisonous. So, I'm waiting for our big investor, but you won't believe what just walked in off the street. She flipped the camera. The lens focused on Maya. Look at this, Veronica narrated, walking closer to Maya, thrusting the phone into her face. This is what happens when you don't have gatekeepers, guys. A literal trespasser in the boardroom. Look at the hair. Look at the stains. On the screen, hearts and laughing emojis began to float up. The comments rolled in. Ew, called the cops. Is she dangerous? LOL, look at those shoes. Say hi to my 2 million followers. Veronica taunted, circling Maya like a shark. Tell them why you thought you belonged in a $1 billion room. Maya didn't hide her face. She didn't cover the camera. She looked directly into the lens. Her eyes were steady, almost piercing. She wasn't looking at the audience. She was ensuring the recording was clear. You're recording this, Veronica? Maya asked clearly. Oh, absolutely. Veronica laughed, reading the comments. User, Fashion Killer, says we should fumigate the room after she leaves. I agree. Good. Maya said, make sure you save the video. You'll need it for the deposition. Veronica scoffed, lowering the phone slightly, but keeping the stream running. Deposition? Honey, the only court you're going to is full court security. She leaned in, whispering so the phone wouldn't pick it up. Just for Maya. You are nothing. You are a glitch in my perfect world. And in 5 minutes, you'll be in the trash where glitches belong. The elevator dinged. The elevator doors slid open with a cheerful ding. Veronica spun around, fixing her hair in a split second, ready to greet the billionaire. But the elevator was empty, just a stainless steel box reflecting her own frantic expression. False alarm, Henderson muttered, wiping sweat from his upper lip. He leaned in close to Veronica, lowering his voice so the live stream, which Veronica had finally paused, wouldn't pick it up. Veronica, please, Henderson hissed. We need to be careful. King is different. The reports say King is a tech disruptor. Eccentric. Unpredictable. I know how to handle eccentric. Veronica scoffed, turning her back on the empty elevator. It usually means old, white, and boring. I'll compliment his tie, laugh at his bad jokes, and take his check. It's the same dance every time, Henderson. She walked back to her seat, ignoring Maya entirely. She opened her tablet, her eyes scanning a document hidden under the meeting agenda. It was a foreclosure notice. Flashback. 3 months ago. The V Gala. Veronica had spent $12 million on a single party to launch a perfume that nobody bought. She had drained the employee pension fund to pay for the ice sculptures. She was drowning. This acquisition wasn't just business. It was a rescue mission. If King didn't sign today, the bank would padlock the doors by Friday. She looked up at Maya, projecting all her self-hatred onto the girl. Why are you still here? Veronica snapped. I told you, the air is expensive. Maya didn't answer. She was looking at her phone again. A text message from Alan, legal, popped up. I'm in the lobby. Security is holding me up. Are you in the room? Maya typed back, I'm in. The CEO is spirited. Maya looked around the room. She didn't see the glamour Veronica saw. She saw inefficiency. She saw a dying print magazine that was bleeding cash. But she also saw the hidden asset. V-Style owned 3 million square feet of warehouse space in New Jersey and a global distribution network. Maya wasn't here for the fashion. She was a founder of ShopSphere, the app that had revolutionized mobile commerce. She had built it in her dorm room at Howard University while eating ramen and dodging eviction notices. She needed those warehouses to scale her delivery logistics. She looked at Veronica. She remembered women like her. When Maya was pitching her app to investors 5 years ago, a woman just like Veronica had laughed her out of the room, asking if she was the intern. That woman's company was now bankrupt. You're leveraged, aren't you? Maya asked suddenly. The question was quiet, surgical. Veronica blinked, startled out of her panic. Excuse me? You spent the operating budget on the gala, Maya said, glancing at the financial charts on the wall. Your liquidity is zero. You aren't waiting for an investor, Veronica. You're waiting for a lifeline. Veronica's face went pale. The truth hit her like a physical blow. How did this girl in a hoodie know about the gala budget? You've been reading my emails. Veronica shrieked, slamming her hand on the table. You are a corporate spy. I knew it. Henderson, call the police. She's hacking us. I'm not hacking you, Maya said, sliding her phone into her pocket. I can just read a balance sheet. Something you clearly haven't done in years. Ding. The elevator doors slid open again. Veronica spun around, her smile replastered, ready to charm King. But it wasn't the billionaire. It was a catering staff member pushing a cart of bagels and coffee. Get out! Veronica screamed, her voice cracking. I didn't order carbs. I ordered a bailout. Get out! The terrified caterer frantically hit the closed door button, the silver doors shutting on Veronica's red, flushed face. She turned back to the room, her chest heaving. The veneer of the cool CEO was gone. She was unraveling. Maya watched her. She saw the fear behind the rage. For a brief second, Maya felt a pang of pity. She knew what it was like to build something and watch it threaten to crumble. Veronica, Maya said. Her voice was different now. Softer. It wasn't the voice of an adversary. It was the voice of a woman offering a life raft. Veronica looked at her, suspicious. What? You're fighting the wrong enemy, Maya said, leaning forward slightly. You think the problem is the money, or the stock price, or me. She gestured to the empty room. The problem is that you think you're above the people who built you. Fashion fades, Veronica. Trends change every 6 months. But how you treat people, that lasts forever. That is the only brand loyalty that matters. The room went silent. The board members looked up. For a heartbeat, the words seemed to land. Veronica stared at Maya, her expression unreadable. The anger seemed to drain out of her shoulders. You know... Veronica walked slowly toward the table. She picked up a glass bottle of imported sparkling water. Voss, $30 a bottle. She looked at it thoughtfully. That sounds exactly like something my grandmother used to say. Maya nodded, hopeful. She sounded like a wise woman. She was, Veronica said. She unscrewed the cap. She was a maid. Veronica's eyes went dead cold, and she taught me to spot the help when I see them. Veronica tipped the bottle. Splash. The sparkling water cascaded onto the mahogany table. It pooled and ran off the edge, soaking the knees of Maya's leggings. It splashed onto her worn sneakers. The board members gasped. Mr. Henderson looked away, unable to watch. Veronica didn't stop until the bottle was empty. She set it down on the wet table, with a heavy thud. "Oops," Veronica said, her voice devoid of emotion. "A spill." She reached into her pocket and pulled out a crisp $5 bill. She crumbled it into a ball and threw it at Maya. It bounced off Maya's chest and landed in the puddle. "Clean it up," Veronica ordered. "Since you're so fond of authenticity, show me how authentic you are with a rag. If you do a good job, maybe I won't have you arrested." Maya looked at the water soaking into her jeans. She looked at the crumbled money floating in the mess. The pity in her eyes evaporated. It was replaced by something harder, something final. The test was over. Veronica had failed. "Keep your money," Maya said, her voice dropping to a terrifyingly calm register. "You're going to need every penny." The tension in the room broke with the sound of heavy boots hitting the marble floor. Bam! The double doors swung open again. This time, it wasn't a catering cart. 2 uniformed security guards, thick-necked and out of breath, burst into the boardroom. They saw the scene. The spilled water, the distress EO, and the black woman in the hoodie standing calmly amidst the mess. They didn't need to ask who the problem was. They had been trained to profile the problem. "There she is." Veronica screamed, pointing a trembling finger at Maya. "She threatened me. She threw water on me. Get her out." The lead guard, a man named Miller who prided himself on efficiency, didn't hesitate. He crossed the room in 3 strides. "Ma'am, step away from the table," Miller barked. Maya turned slowly. "I am waiting for her." I said step away. Miller didn't wait for compliance. He grabbed Maya's arm. His grip was tight, digging into the fabric of her hoodie, pinching the skin beneath. "Hey," Maya said, her voice sharp. "Do not touch me. You're trespassing," the second guard said, grabbing her other arm. They began to haul her backward, away from the table, away from the seat of power. "Careful with her," Veronica shouted, wiping a non-existent speck of water from her blazer. "She's probably carrying diseases. Or a weapon. Check that bag." Miller yanked Maya toward the door. The sudden motion tore the strap of her backpack from her shoulder. Crash! The bag hit the floor upside down. It didn't land softly. It hit with a heavy, solid thud of density. The contents spilled out across the wet carpet. There were no drugs. There were no stolen goods. There was no sanitation log. First came the legal binders, 3 inches thick, bound in navy blue leather, stamped with gold lettering. "Confidential," merger agreement. Then came the technology. A sleek, unreleased prototype tablet skittered across the floor. And finally, spinning like a coin and settling with a distinct, heavy metallic clink, was a credit card. It wasn't plastic. It was black titanium. An American Express Centurion card. The kind of card that has no limit. The kind of card you have to be invited to own. The room went quiet. Mr. Henderson stared at the card. He knew what that little piece of metal meant. It meant power. "Ms. Vance!" Henderson started, his voice squeaking. "Look at the card." Veronica didn't look. She was too high on the adrenaline of her victory. She walked over the pile of spilled items. She looked down at the legal binders and the black card lying in the puddle of sparkling water she had created. She didn't see assets. She saw trash. Garbage. Veronica spat. She pulled her leg back and kicked the leather binder. It slid across the wet floor, hitting Maya's sneaker. "Get your junk out of my office," Veronica sneered, standing over Maya, who was still being held by the guards. "And take your fake credit card with you." "What is that?" "A library card painted black." Maya looked down at the contract, the document that was supposed to save Veronica's career, now soaked in water and kicked like refuse. She looked up at Veronica. The restraint in Maya's eyes finally broke. It wasn't replaced by rage. It was replaced by judgment. The kind of judgment that comes before a sentence is passed. "Let her go." A voice boomed from the doorway. It wasn't a guard. It wasn't a board member. Allen, the company's general counsel, stood in the open elevator doors, his face pale as a sheet, staring at the guards manhandling the woman in the hoodie. Allen, the company's general counsel, didn't walk. He sprinted. He pushed past Miller, the large security guard, with a force that surprised everyone. "Unhand her," Alan shouted, his voice cracking with panic. "Let go of her right now." Miller, confused by the lawyer's terror, dropped Maya's arm as if it were burning hot. Alan didn't look at Veronica. He didn't look at the board. He fell to his knees next to Maya, frantically reaching for the soaked legal binder Veronica had kicked. He wiped the water off the cover with his own expensive silk tie. "Ms. King," Alan stammered, looking up at Maya with mortified eyes. "Ms. King, I have no words. Are you injured? Did they hurt you?" The room went so quiet you could hear the air conditioning humming. Veronica stood frozen, her hands suspended in the air, mid-gesture. Her brain was misfiring. "Ms. King? Alan." Veronica laughed nervously, a high-pitched, brittle sound. "You're confused. The stress has finally gotten to you. This isn't an investor. This is the intruder, the delivery girl." She pointed at Maya, who was rubbing her wrist where the guard had squeezed it. "Look at her, Alan," Veronica insisted, her voice rising. "Look at the hoodie. Look at the hair. King is a tech mogul. This is nobody." Alan stood up slowly. He looked at Veronica with a mixture of pity and horror. "Veronica," Alan said, his voice deadly serious. "This is Maya King, founder of ShopSphere. She is M. King." He gestured to the woman standing in the puddle of water. "And as of 9 o'clock this morning, she owns 51% of V-Style Media. She owns this building. She owns the chair you are standing next to." Mr. Henderson gasped. "ShopSphere, the app? That's a $10 billion valuation." The security guards took a synchronized step back, their faces draining of color. Miller looked at his hand, the one that just grabbed the billionaire, and looked like he might vomit. Maya finally spoke. She didn't yell. She didn't rage. She simply bent down, picked up her backpack, and slung it over one shoulder. "I tried to tell you, Veronica," Maya said softly. "I told you my name was on the list." All eyes turned to Veronica. This was the moment. The truth was out. The facts were undeniable. The lawyer confirmed it. The black card confirmed it. The fear in the room confirmed it. Veronica had a choice. She could drop to her knees, apologize, and beg for mercy. She could admit she was wrong. But Veronica Vance didn't know how to be wrong. Her entire identity was built on being better than people who looked like Maya. If she admitted Maya was powerful, she had to admit that her own worldview, her class, her aesthetic, her superiority, was a lie. Her ego wouldn't let her do it. Veronica straightened her spine. She smoothed her blazer. She looked at Maya's scuffed sneakers, and she chose denial. "This is a prank," Veronica declared, looking around the room with a forced, manic smile. "Very funny, Alan. You hired an actress. Is this for a reality show?" "Veronica," Alan started. "No!" Veronica screamed, pointing at Maya. "I refuse to accept this. Look at her. You expect me to believe that this runs a corporation? She looks like she sleeps on a park bench. It is impossible." She stepped closer to Maya, invading her space one last time, doubling down on the very insult that had dug her grave. "You are not a billionaire," Veronica hissed. "You are a fraud in a costume, and I am still the queen of this castle." Maya looked at Veronica. She saw the fear behind the arrogance. She saw a woman so blinded by prejudice that she would rather destroy herself than respect a black woman in a hoodie. "The queen," Maya repeated, reaching into her backpack and pulling out the dry copy of the contract. "Veronica," Maya said coolly, "checkmate." Maya didn't argue. She didn't try to convince Veronica. She simply turned to Alan, the lawyer. "Alan," Maya said, her voice calm and authoritative, "is the acquisition effective immediately?" Alan nodded vigorously. "Yes, Ms. King. The moment you sign, you have full executive control." "Good," Maya said. She walked over to the table. She didn't wipe up the water. She opened the soggy folder, took out a pen from her backpack, a cheap plastic biro, and pressed the tip against the damp paper. Scritch, scritch. She signed her name right over the water stain Veronica had created. "Done," Maya said, capping the pen. She looked up at the board members. Mr. Henderson, you can sit down. You look like you're about to faint. Henderson collapsed into his chair. Veronica was vibrating with rage. You cannot sign that. That is my company. I built it. I am the face of V-Style. Maya turned to her. She looked at Veronica with the dispassionate gaze of an auditor finding a math error. You were the face, Maya corrected, but we're rebranding. Maya took a step forward. Veronica instinctively took a step back, her heel slipping slightly on the wet floor. I was going to keep you on as a consultant, Veronica, Maya said. I thought your eye for design might be useful, but I don't hire liabilities, and I certainly don't hire bigots. You can't fire me. Veronica shrieked, looking at the board for support. I am the CEO. You need a board vote. Actually, Maya said, tapping the wet contract, I own 51%. That makes me the board. She looked at Miller, the security guard who was still standing awkwardly by the door. Miller? Maya asked. Miller snapped to attention. Yes, Ms. King. Ms. Vance is trespassing, Maya said, using Veronica's own words. She is shouting, she is making threats, and she has damaged company property. Maya pointed to the water-stained table. Please escort her out. And Miller? Ma'am. Take her pass, Maya said. She doesn't work here anymore. Veronica gasped. Miller, don't you dare. I sign your paychecks. Miller looked at Veronica. He looked at the way she had treated him for 5 years, like furniture. Then he looked at Maya, who had looked him in the eye, and learned his name in 30 seconds. Actually, ma'am, Miller said, stepping toward Veronica, I think she signs them now. He reached out. Your pass, Ms. Vance. Veronica stared at him. Then she screamed. It was a wordless, primal sound of total collapse. She didn't hand over the pass. Miller had to gently but firmly remove it from her lanyard. Get your hands off me. Veronica wailed as Miller and the second guard took her by the elbows, the exact way they had held Maya minutes ago. You are making a mistake. Veronica yelled as they dragged her backward toward the elevator. I am V-Style. You are nothing without me. Nothing. The elevator doors slid open. The guards pushed her in. The last thing the board saw was Veronica's mascara-stained face, twisted in hate, before the silver doors slid shut. Ding. Silence returned to the boardroom. Maya stood alone at the head of the table. She looked at the empty leather chair, the one Veronica had guarded so viciously. Maya sat down. She didn't slouch. She didn't shrink. She occupied the space fully. She looked at the 10 terrified white men in suits sitting around her. Gentlemen, Maya said, opening her backpack and pulling out her laptop, which was covered in anime stickers. We have a lot of work to do. We're pivoting to digital. We're fixing the supply chain. And we're auditing the HR department. She looked at Alan, who was beaming. And Alan, yes, Ms. King. Maya looked down at her gray hoodie, then up at the suit and tie executives. Update the employee handbook, she said, cracking a small smile. Dress code is officially casual. Hoodies are allowed. 6 months later, the V-Style tower was different. The lobby wasn't silent anymore. It was buzzing with energy. Young creatives in sneakers, hijabs, and streetwear moved through the turnstiles. The receptionist, Trent, was no longer terrified. He was laughing with delivery driver. On the 50th floor, the glass walls were covered in sticky notes and whiteboards. Maya sat in her office, door open. She was wearing a blazer over her hoodie today. Looking at the stock ticker, V-Style Media, VSM up 240%. She smiled and clicked on a news tab. A headline popped up from a gossip site. Former CEO caught selling Slim tea. Below the headline was a photo of Veronica Vance. She looked tired. She was holding a bag of herbal tea on Instagram Live, forcing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. The caption read, Hey guys, use code Veronica for 10% off. #BossBabe. Maya didn't laugh. She just closed the tab. She didn't have time for the past. She looked out the window at the city she now owned a piece of. She picked up her phone. The screen was finally fixed and sent a text to Sarah. the assistant Veronica had fired in Act 1, who was now the head of junior design. Maya, meeting in 5. Don't worry about the shoes. Just bring your ideas. Maya stood up, grabbed her backpack, and walked out to build the future.